I will use this video to take you across a history of 540 million years. To appreciate those catastrophic biological mass extinction events that once occurred in Earth's history. And together witness how the family of vertebrates rose from an inconspicuous small fish to the most successful animal dynasty in history. During this process, you will encounter our common ancestors from hundreds of millions of years ago and also see those terrifying crawling giants. No matter your age or where you are, as long as you are being born on this planet, then after watching, you will definitely have your own feelings. Now, close your eyes and watch carefully. Turn off your phone's sound and listen carefully. 541 million years ago, Earth experienced the first mass extinction event, also known as the Ediacaran extinction. The first early animal dynasty was thus destroyed. But the miracle of nature is only just beginning. This mass extinction also paved the way for the subsequent Cambrian explosion of life. 530 million years ago, the Cambrian explosion of life officially arrived. Why is it called the era of the explosion of life? Because the ancestors of all subsequent animal dynasties can almost all be traced back to the Cambrian period. This of course includes us humans. The Cambrian period saw the emergence of the first animal with a notochord, brain, eyes, and post-anal tail, that is, Millicomingia. Millicomingia is the ancestor of all vertebrates on Earth, including us humans, with a notochord, a brain, and eyes. This was the first major leap in the evolutionary history of vertebrates. 444 million years ago, the second mass extinction event occurred on Earth. This caused the marine biota that should have continued to flourish to suffer heavy losses. But like last time, it seems the extreme of destruction is rebirth. The time came to 423 million years ago. And the first vertebrate with jaws, the primitive jawed fish, appeared. Subsequently, the mouths of all vertebrates, such as the beaks of birds and our human mouths, all evolved from its jaws. Many people might think, it's just an extra mouth. What's so great about that? In fact, those early fish did not have upper and lower jaws. They usually relied entirely on sucking in food scraps to survive. However, the appearance of upper and lower jaws meant they gained the ability to attack. Therefore, the era of fish officially arrived, developing jaws and actively hunting. This was the second major leap in the evolutionary history of vertebrates. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. 377 million years ago, Earth experienced the third mass extinction event. Countless fish and marine animals died on a massive scale. But the curtain fall of an old dynasty naturally leads to the rise of a new dynasty. This extinction event also opened the prelude to the evolution of terrestrial vertebrates. 367 million years ago, the first four-legged terrestrial vertebrate with lungs appeared, that is, Ichthyostega, developing four limbs, crawling and landing on Earth. This was the third major leap in the evolutionary history of vertebrates. Of course, here I'll mention again that the first animal dynasty to colonize the land was the arthropods. That is, the ancestors of today's spiders and insects. And after that came the Carboniferous period. During this period, because there was not much activity from terrestrial animals, plants began to rise wildly. There was vegetation everywhere, covering the sky and sun. This also created the era with the highest oxygen content in Earth's history. Those arthropods, due to their unique respiratory methods, caused their bodies to become gigantic. So this was also an era of giant insects. And our current large amounts of coal resources are also a gift from the plants of this period. But prosperity declines. The time came to 360 million to 260 million years ago. And Earth entered the late Carboniferous Ice Age. At this time, the continents began to become dry, and the previous swamps gradually disappeared. This also forced the water-dependent amphibians to make a change. The time came to 312 million years ago. At this time, the first reptile that laid amniotic eggs evolved, that is, Hylonomus. From then on, vertebrates completely conquered the land. Why do I say that? Because the skin of previous amphibians was relatively thin, so they needed to rely on water sources to keep their skin moist. But the appearance of the amniotic egg represented that the new species had broken free from the restriction of water. They no longer needed to lay their eggs in water and could go to any place on land. Laying amniotic eggs, conquering the land. This was the fourth major leap in the evolutionary history of vertebrates. The time came to 251 million years ago, and the fourth mass extinction event occurred on Earth. This is also the most severe mass extinction event that we know of so far. How serious was it? It can be said that Earth's evolutionary path of life over hundreds of millions of years was almost reset.